No one will be made right by works of the law. The law reveals that you're wrong, but it can't make you right. And you all know this, right? The law describes love, but it's not love. And by law, I don't just mean Old Testament law. I mean any law. Precept or concept or principle or ordinance or value. I mean, aren't they all attempts to describe love and then legislate love? And so they all reveal that we don't love? Because if we loved, we wouldn't need them. If you need a law to tell you to speak truth, it reveals that you don't love the truth. If you need a law to tell you to love, it reveals that you don't love love. Instead, what? Instead, you want the knowledge of love so you can act like you love. Act like you love, and thereby use love to get what you want, which is not love. You actually hate love and use love to act like you love. The law reveals we don't love and makes us compete at acting like we do love, right? I mean, you've hung around religious folks, right? Competing at love. We compete at love. Love is sacrificing self to save another. Competition is sacrificing another to save the self. Competition is the way of all flesh. It's the survival of the fittest. I mean, that's a reality. It's flesh. That's the way flesh is. It's the way of all flesh. So the law makes men of flesh compete at love. Which means we act like we want another's best when we secretly want another's worst, right? We act like we make ourselves last so others can be first, all in an effort to make ourselves first and others last. We become actors, hypokritos in Greek, hypocrites, actors, whitewashed tomb, the walking dead, walking around, unrighteous, acting all righteous with unrighteousness, dead in our trespasses and sins and the uncircumcision of our flesh, the uncut-offedness of our flesh. One day when my daughter Elizabeth was about 9, and she was a better actor by this age than Becky was at 4, she was learning, I came home and Susan said, "Peter, you need to talk to Elizabeth." She was playing downstairs with the kids and her friend Katie from next door, and she called Katie a poop head, but she didn't use the authorized poop word. She used the unauthorized potty word, and now I'm going to switch to biblical Greek because the Greek word is skubalon, okay? But Susan said she was downstairs and I was listening. She started yelling at Katie and she said, "Katie, you're a skubalon head, skubalon head, skubalon!" She just yelled it over and over and over, and everybody heard, and you need to talk to her. And so I found Elizabeth, my little hot-headed buddy, and I said, "Honey, do you have something that you need to tell Daddy?" And she said, "No, Daddy, everything's just fine." And she smiled. And I said, "Did you call Katie a skubalon head?" And she said, "Oh, no, Daddy, I'd never say that." And I said, "Well, that's funny because Mom, John, and Becky, they all said that you said that." So I laid down the law, and she denied her guilt. She denied her sin, and she did it quite convincingly, and that terrified me. She was becoming a great actress. And now her heart was hidden from me, invisible. You remember Smeagol in The Lord of the Rings? He acquires the ring of power that makes him invisible. Then trapped alone in his own darkness, he becomes Gollum. Gollum comes from the Hebrew legend of the Golem, about a rabbi who brought to life this clay figure of a man using the name of God, which he had stolen from its proper place. Lying, bending the truth, taking the truth, manipulating the truth. Lying is like the ring of power. It's like stealing the word of God in an effort to create yourself. But you only desecrate yourself, uncreate yourself, and make yourself invisible. I looked at Elizabeth and I remember thinking, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're from. And it terrified me. And this is the crazy thing. I really didn't care that Elizabeth called Katie a skubalon head. I mean, I thought it was actually kind of cute and funny. But the fact that she was hiding her heart from me terrified me. It was as if she was lost in outer darkness. And now I was lost in outer darkness as well. And so I laid down the law. I did. I laid down the law and I made Elizabeth suffer. And then I took her to McDonald's and was kind. I bought her some pancakes. I looked her in the eye. And then she cracked. She sobbed. I mean, it was agony for Elizabeth, but she cried out, "Daddy, I did call Katie a scuba head." And suddenly I knew who she was. And I knew where she was coming from. And I hugged her, and we threw that old golem into Mount Doom, where he was consumed by fire, the fire of my love. The golem was a lie and the product of a lie. What does Jesus, the truth, not know? How about a lie? The master says to those at the door, literally, "I do not know whence you are." Well, when Elizabeth confessed, I was just so relieved. I thought, there you are. You were lost, and now you're found. So let's have a party. Happy meals for everyone. Well, maybe your father is I am that I am. And he knows who you am. And he really likes who you am. But he does not like who you ain't. God makes you in his image with his word. And we desecrate that image believing a lie. God creates you with his judgment, and we create a false self with our judgment, one of the walking dead trapped in outer darkness, a golem. We think that's who we are. And we try to convince ourselves it's good. Our judgment is sin, and it creates the walking dead. The master says, "I know not where you're from. I know not where you're from. Where are you coming from? I know not where you're from." Why don't they just tell him, "I come from calling Katie a shithead, because she made me feel like I was last and she was first, and now I want her to feel last so that I can be first. Daddy, that's where I'm coming from." Why don't they tell him? I come from a dark place of loneliness and fear because I'm a pastor who's supposed to know the good and love the good and be good, and I can't make myself good. Why don't they tell him? I come from pornography and lust because for a moment I can forget about me and lose myself in beauty and feel potent once again. Why don't they tell him? I come from a 3-day drinking binge because I want to die, hoping that I might live. I mean, why don't they tell him I come from shopping? I come from shopping because I'm scared that I'll have nothing and become nothing. I come from gossip and slander and taking life from others, trying to make their life my own life, like some kind of zombie or vampire. I come from talking with the snake and taking fruit from the tree and nailing Jesus, the Lord of love, to that very same tree because, God, I seek your heaven, but I don't seek you. I only use you. I want to take your life like fruit from a tree, eat your flesh, drink your blood, steal your kingdom. And now I know that's the very opposite of your kingdom. Master of the house, that's where I'm coming from. Help me.